Okay, here we're continuing with function operations and talking about multiplication this time. And so all of the notation that we talked about in the addition and subtraction video still holds true here. So again, just like I said in the last one, take a minute to pause the video, get this written down in your composition book for your notes. Starting off pretty much the same way, we're going to perform a bunch of different operations given these four original functions. So make sure that you've written down the directions, make sure you've written down the functions. These are the actual problem examples that we're going to go through. So if you just want to write those one at a time as we go so that you don't waste space, you can do that. But definitely get this top stuff written down and then unpause the video and come back when you are ready. Okay, so we have, in this case, multiplication, which is just a little dot in here. F times g of x is how we read this. And just like we talked about last time, this is the same exact thing as saying f of x times g of x. So when we want to find f times g of x, this in red is exactly what we do. So I take f of x, which is 9x, and I'm going to multiply it by g of x, which is negative 2x. So remember that when I do this type of multiplication, Algebra 1 rules tell us I multiply the coefficients together. So 9 times negative 2 is negative 18. And then I multiply the variables together. X times x gives me x squared. So negative 18x squared would be my f times g of x. In example 2 here, we have a number in place of the x. So again, we have two choices here. Since we've already found f times g of x, the rule here, the easiest choice is to then just plug negative 4 in there. So I can do negative 18 times negative 4 squared. Make sure you apply order of operations here. So I have to do the exponent first. Negative 4 squared is 16. So that gives me negative 18 times positive 16, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So 16 times that negative 18 gives me negative 288. Now again, that's all you have to do. But I just want to point out to you that if you hadn't been asked for this, that you could, instead of doing this work and this work, also do f of negative 4 times g of negative 4, because those have the same meaning. So f of negative 4 would be 9 times negative 4, and then we would multiply that by g of negative 4, which would be negative 2 times negative 4. So this would be negative 36 times positive 8. And so we get the exact same answer as I illustrated in the last lesson as well. So that just gives us a check here. Again, just trying to illustrate that there's more than one correct way to do some of these problems. All right, number 3 asks us to find g times h of x. So that's going to be g of x, which is negative 2x, times h of x, which is 8x plus 3. So on this one, we have to do a little bit different work because 8x plus 3, our h of x function, is a binomial, where f of x and g of x were both monomials. So the binomial here means we're going to have to distribute. So now negative 2x times positive 8x, that gives us negative 16x squared. Negative 2x times positive 3, so I do negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, and it's just a plain x because there was no x here. So negative 16x squared minus 6x is the rule for g times h of x. Excuse me. All right, next one says g times j of x. So g is negative 2x. We're going to multiply times j, which is negative 3x minus 1. Same as in number 3, I need to distribute here, but be careful because I've got lots of negatives. So negative times a negative gives me a positive. So positive 6, x times x is x squared. And then negative 2x times negative 1 would give me positive 2x. So 6x squared plus 2x would be my answer there. Number 5 asks me to find g times j of 2. So again, because I already have the g times j rule, quickest way is just going to be to plug 2 into this answer. I'm not going to do it both ways this time just because I think we've illustrated that point. But certainly if you want to test it, you should get the same answer that we're going to get here. So again, order of operations, 2 squared is 4. So this is 6 times 4 plus 2 times 2, which is 4. So 6 times 4 is 24 plus 4, which is 28. So g times j of 2 would be 28. Last one. I have h times j of x. So h of x is 8x plus 3. It's a binomial, so I should put it in parentheses. J of x is negative 3x minus 1. So this one, different than all the others. First one, monomial times a monomial. 3 and 4, both monomial times a binomial. Here we have binomial times binomial. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. Don't care which way you do it. Probably will depend a lot on what your Algebra 1 teacher taught you. There are generally 2 schools of teaching for this. I usually teach both when I teach Algebra 1, but the first way that you may have learned is using the Foil acronym. The Foil acronym is specifically for when you have a binomial times a binomial. So F stands for first. So first means you're going to multiply the first term of the first parenthesis times the first term of the second parenthesis. So my F is 8x times negative 3x, which gives me negative 24x squared. O stands for outside, so I'm going to write this down here. So first or outer, it's up to you or how your teacher taught you, but outside terms, 8x times negative 1, which is negative 8x. I is for inside terms, so that would be these 2. So I multiply positive 3 times negative 3x, which gives me negative 9x. And L stands for last, so positive 3 times negative 1, because those are the last terms. In this case, because they were both a linear followed by a constant, we have like terms in the middle to combine. So that gives us negative 24x squared, and then this gives us minus 17x minus 3. So this is our h times j of x. If you have never seen that before in your entire life, then it is my guess that your Algebra 1 teacher taught you the box method. And you're allowed to use whatever method you want. So if you've seen both now and you're just like, I really like this other method, go right ahead. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer. Box method is you set up a row and a column based on the number of terms. So since I have 2 terms in the first parenthesis, 2 terms in the second, I've got, 2 rows and 2 columns. If it were like a binomial times a trinomial, then I would just add a little column out here. It does not matter which one you put going up and down and which one you put going side to side. You'll get the same answer regardless. And so then all you do is each box, you take the heading of the row times the heading of the column. So 8x times negative 3x, so negative 24x squared. This box should be 8x times negative 1, which is negative 8x. This one, 3 times negative 3x, which is negative 9x. And then 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3. Notice that we get the exact same 4 terms that we got when we used the first outside, inside, last. And if we combine the like terms, we will get the exact same answer. So choose one of those methods and make sure you show all your work, and then hopefully you won't have any trouble.